Hello, everyone, and thank you for clicking on another episode of DIY Amateur Hour. As I'm sure you noticed from the thumbnail and the title of this video, today we are once again exploring the 2025 C8 Corvette ZR1. Quite the mouthful there. As you may remember from my last C8 ZR1 video that I published on April 19th, myself, as well as tons of other car YouTubers and personalities, imagined that the ZR1 would have some sort of electrification or hybrid power in order to achieve higher than ever power levels and performance from a Corvette. As we learned last night, we are all about half correct with this theory. The 2025 Corvette ZR1 is now rated at 1,064 horsepower, purely from gasoline power assisted by twin 67mm turbos spinning the rear wheels through an 8-speed dual-clutch M1K automatic transmission. This is the same transmission already in the C8, however it's been obviously upgraded to handle the power increase with the ZR1. Now, I'm not going to go into depth about every little nuance of this car from the 80 to 160 speed or the available colors and available options that you can spec out to go full boomer mode and make your ZR1 a true one of one for your car show placard, but I will highlight what I feel is the most impressive and important aspects of this car. Now, I can't pretend to be mad at the lack of electricity and GM deciding to remain true to the American muscle lineage with brute power, and in the case of the Corvette, the ability to turn. The ZR1 is carrying the same 5.5 liter LT7 V8 from the Z06, except now it's rated at 1,064 horsepower and 828 pound-feet of torque. This is now the most powerful production car ever offered from an American manufacturer, beating out the Hellcat that has sat on the top spot for years and is claimed to do the quarter mile sub 10 seconds with a top speed of 215 miles per hour. It was reported that this sub 10-second quarter mile was done on the very first attempt from Chevy's test team. Maybe we'll learn more about the validity of that later. And I do suspect that this 215 mile per hour top speed is computer limited, as the Hellcat boats have been advertising 200 mile per hour top speeds, and the Corvette is significantly more slippery through the air with an extra 350 more horsepower. As we saw in the spy photos, the ZR1 Corvette was revealed last night with the same monstrous hood scoop, monster rear wing, and giant air scoops that we have been looking at for months. What we didn't get to see coming, however, was the split rear window reminiscent of the 1963 Corvette. Personally, I love this aspect of the car, maybe partially because I've always wanted a real 63 split window, but I've never been able to afford one. The rarity of the 63 is sure to be rivaled by the rarity of the ZR1, as I can't imagine that there will be tons of people forking out the $180,000 estimated price tag, or what I expect to be north of $200,000 price tag for this C8 powerhouse. But for all this money that you're going to have to shell out to get your hands on one, it's hard to argue that you don't get every penny's worth. Magnetic ride control is standard, with 15.7-inch carbon ceramic rotors slowing you down up front and 15.4-inch rotors out back. All of the brake rotors on this car are bigger than the wheels that come on a Mitsubishi Mirage and a Toyota Prius, just for the ease of reference as to how massive the rotors are. The front wheels are 20 inches tall and 10 inches wide with 275/30 tires, where the back rubber is 21 inches tall by 13 inches wide, coming in at 345/25 tires. The curb weight for the ZR1 is advertised at 3,670 pounds if you order the coupe version, giving you a power to weight ratio of 3.45 pounds per horsepower. For reference, the Dodge Challenger is 4,415 pounds for a power ratio of 6.25, and the McLaren 720S can be ordered as light as 3,139 pounds for a ratio of 4.42 pounds per horsepower. For a car that starts at over $300,000, the ZR1 makes more power, has a better power to weight ratio by almost 25%, looks killer, sounds better, is cheaper, and is sure to be faster than many supercars available currently. Now, the option to order a Corvette as either a coupe or a convertible has been the norm for Corvettes since at least the C5, but as you can see in these photos, some of the ZR1s have these extra air scoops over the rear wheels and some do not. They are present on the coupes, but not on the convertible models. So not only does the convertible top add more than 100 pounds, it also suffers from lesser cooling without these air ducts. Moving on to touch on the interior briefly, it remains mostly unchanged from your Stingray, E-Ray, or Z06 Corvettes. However, the ZR1 does feature a boost gauge, something never before seen as a factory item from Chevy, which is fitting for the first turbocharged Corvette in history. Now that we've talked about the car itself as a whole, let us briefly focus on the heart of this machine. This is a monster engine with a much larger footprint than the small block Chevy motors we have all been used to in all previous Corvettes. The C8 is a switch from small blocks with a single cam buried within the block with push rods and rockers. Now we have a dual overhead cam engine. For those of you who don't know, dual overhead cam engines position a cam above the cylinder head on each bank of cylinders, which is spun by a chain off the crankshaft. This cam opens and closes the valve. So obviously when adding another cam and moving this cam to the top of the valves instead of burying it within the block, the engine is going to get taller and have a bigger footprint. Now the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed this gear above the flywheel. This dual overhead cam 5.5 liter has a starter motor located underneath the intake, just like the old Northstar V8 engines of the late 90s and early 2000s. So I'm guessing GM forgot how many people absolutely hated this motor for strictly this reason alone, having to remove the upper intake plenum just to replace the starter motor. However, I feel like not many ZR1 owners are going to be changing the starter motor on their own anyway. So as we wrap up this video, I want to thank you all for watching this far, but I also want to leave you with what, in my opinion, is the best spec ZR1 that I've seen in the 24 hours that this car has been officially released. This black ZR1 with the shorter option dovetail spoiler, double blue racing stripe, and blue wheels with the black interior and blue seatbelts is hard to beat in my opinion. Black cars, when clean, show off all the body lines and just look phenomenal. The blue racing stripes are a clean contrast, and I even like the blue wheels. Generally, I think that colored wheels on cars and trucks are too much like a Hot Wheels car, even ricey. However, when they're the same color as the racing stripes, I think it ties things together nicely. I may, however, be a tad impartial to the blue and black color scheme. I'm curious, how would you order your C8 ZR1 if money were no option? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this car. And please don't forget to subscribe if you want to be notified of more future highly anticipated vehicle releases and spy shots.